Recording in three, two, and one.
Battle of the Planets. G-Force. Five incredible young people with superpowers. And watching over them from Center Neptune, 7 Zark 7. Watching. Warning against surprise attack by alien galaxies from beyond space.
All
Dun!
right. Whoop.
Sorry.
That's all right. Welcome to episode 111 of Nerdery and Murdery.
Big 111. I'm Zig with your nerdery.
And I'm Geoffrey with your Murdery. Welcome to all you nerds and merds to another week of the highs and lows, and the ups and the downs, the good and the bad. And with that, Zig, I'll let you take over the show.
Thank you, sir. Battle of the Planets is an American adaptation of the Japanese anime series Science Ninja Team Gatchaman. Of the 105 original Gatchaman episodes, 85 were used in the Battle of the Planets adaptation, produced by Sandy Frank Entertainment. The adaptation was generally faithful to the plot and character development of the original Gatchaman series, but significant additions and reductions were made in order to increase appeal to the North American television market of the late 1970s, as well as to avoid controversy from parents. These included the removal of elements of graphic violence and profanity. It was the most successful anime series in the United States during the 1970s, airing on 100 networks affiliates during after-school hours by 1979. As of June 2013, Sentai Filmworks have licensed the Gatchaman franchise. An oft-delayed CGI film based on the franchise, Gatchaman, last slated for a 2011 release from Warner Brothers, was officially canceled in June of 2011. However, a live-action Gatchaman feature film was released in Japan in August 2013. As of 2018, the series has been made available for stream on HDive. So I'm going to borrow the Podback machine if you don't mind. Let's go back in time to here. It would have been 1978. I was in kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
I would come home after school, turn on Channel 11, and watch this religiously.
Yep.
Every day.
I did too.
In school, we would take construction paper and make little communicators so we could use them. And on the playground, we played G-Force, which is what we called it. Every day, and then there was kind of a cliffhanger in the last episode, and the next week that started up, we were watching Star Blazers instead, which I also thought.
Right. We've actually talked about this here on the show that just I hated that because the series did end on a cliffhanger, and then Star Blazers started. It sucked.
And that's why you hated Star Blazers?
Yes.
To this day.
Yes.
Star Blazers is really good. You should give it a shot. But yeah, so the regular cast, the American cast, was Alan Young as 7 Zark 7, Keop and additional voices, Casey Kasem as Mark and additional voices, Ronnie Shell as Jason, and Key Luke as Zoltar, the Spirit, Kronos, and additional voices, Janet Waldo as Princess Susan and additional voices, and Alan Deinhardt as Tiny. And he also did additional voices. There are a lot of other additional voice characters, but those are the guys that were in the episode, basically, or in every single episode.
Mm-hmm.
So in April of 77, Sandy Frank attended the MIP TV conference in Cannes. It was here Frank first encountered the Japanese animation Gatchaman from producer Tatsunoko Productions, run by the Yoshida brothers. Frank committed to release the series in the U.S. after he saw the success of Star Wars in May of 1977. Battle of the Planets is the title of an American adaptation of the series created by Frank. Frank authorized new footage and hired writers to add dialogue to fit the look of the animation without referencing the original scripts. And again, they took 105 episodes and whittled them down to 85. But they didn't make any more than that. Now, in Japan, it went on. They did some other stuff later on and kind of kept it going. But over here, they only made the original 85 episodes because they couldn't figure out how to tell that Japanese story because a lot of the things they cut out, like Zoltar was just like everybody on his planet, was hermaphroditic, and they couldn't figure out how to explain that to children without getting into trouble. Because Battle of the Planets was aimed squarely at children, as opposed to, you know, Science Ninja Team Gotcha Man was primetime television in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so maybe I should explain the series itself. Battle of the Planets cast 5 young people as G-Force, consisting of Mark, Jason, Princess, Keop, and Tiny. G-Force protects Earth from the planet Spectra and other attackers from beyond space. The most prominent field commander of the Spectra forces was a villainous, masked individual known as Zoltar. Zoltar would receive his orders directly from a being he would refer to as the Luminous One. The Luminous One would appear as a ghost-like, disembodied floating head, kind of diamond-shaped. Who or what the being actually was is never explained in any detail throughout the series. The main ship of the G-Force team was called the Phoenix, which could carry, transport, and deploy 4 smaller vehicles, each operated by 1 team member. And of course, Tiny flew the Phoenix. The 4 vehicles included a futuristic race car with various hidden weapons driven by Jason. The vehicle was concealed within the Phoenix's nose cone. The Galacticycle, a futuristic motorcycle Princess rode, was stored within the left wing capsule of the Phoenix. Keop's Space Bubble, an all-terrain tank-like vehicle capable of VTOL, as well as being a submersible craft, was held in the right storage capsule of the Phoenix. And lastly, a futuristic jet fighter, Mark pilots, was stored in the top rear section of the Phoenix. The command island structure, and was used its tail fin to make the center of the tail fin for the Phoenix. The 5th crew member, Tiny, was assigned to pilot the Phoenix. A regularly featured plot device was the transformation of the Phoenix into the flaming bird-shaped craft, able to handle virtually any exceptional situation by functioning as a sort of giant super blowtorch called the Fiery Phoenix, which is a fairly apt description. The Phoenix's primary weapon was a supply of rockets called TBX missiles in the series. It also occasionally flaunted a powerful solar-powered energy blast, although the team had the misfortune of choosing very cloudy days to use it. The G-Force team themselves used a combination of martial arts skills, ninja-like weapons, and then their cerabonic powers to dispatch hordes of enemy soldiers and overcome other obstacles. Their bird-like costumes included wing-like capes that could fan out and function nearly identically to parachutes in our wingsuits.
The only one that didn't have a ninja-like weapon was that Jason, which the one with the gun.
Yeah, he had a gun.
Yeah.
And he would shoot people with it.
Yes.
The G-Force members stay in contact through a wristband communicator device, which also served as a way for them to change or transmute instantly into their G-Force costumes. And yeah, they look like birds, but they could fly or glide. And then they could also all get up on top of each other like a pyramid and spin around and make like a tornado. Yeah, it was weird, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, you know, when you were an elementary school kid, it was the best thing in the world.
Right.
But in '86, they actually reworked it in the U.S. as G-Force Guardians of Space by Ted Turner. And they added a bunch of the plot detail in, as well as the original score. I did not like G-Force, the 1986 version.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it was as good. 2 Japanese follow-up series, Gotcha Man 2 and Gotcha Man Fighter, were combined into 65 episodes and released as the Saban-produced show Eagle Riders. So if you ever see Eagle Riders, it's actually G-Force. Only 13 episodes were aired in the United States, though. So yeah, they took this series and kind of changed it. They added a robot character, 7 Zark 7, to kind of watch over them, who was obviously patterned after R2-D2.
Right.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
He would also do explanation voiceovers. Keop, in Battle of the Planets didn't speak. He talked in clicks and whistles. Uh, Jinpei and Gotchaman um, could talk, but the reason they took a lot of his lines out is Jinpei cursed all the time. So they just made Kiop click and whistle, and the members of G-Force could understand him and would explain to the audience what he said, by exposition. Zoltar had an unusual background due to the gender-changing mutant nature of the original Berg cast character. Zoltar was called Berg Cast in the series. Cast's female half was featured in Battle of the Planet titled The Galaxy Girls, but was introduced as a separate character. Turns out the Latraz is actually Zoltar in the original series, which is why they look so much alike. Of course, they added the Seven Zark 7. But his personality style was that of C-3PO. So, he was real friendly and nice. And yeah, this show captivated American children in the late 70s all over the place. It showed in just about every market. And we
yeah.
Yeah, you were watching it out in out near, right?
I was in Wichita Falls.
So you were probably picking it up from that Wichita Falls station up there.
Yep.
Yeah, so it really captivated a lot of kids. In Japan, they produced toys. You can actually buy the G-Force models and stuff. The Phoenix, the little car, the little airplane, the little bubble thing, space bubble, and the motorcycle. And you can actually get them where they will actually fit up into the Phoenix. The Phoenix was a really unusual design. I think that what kind of captured all our imaginations.
It's a cool ship.
Oh yeah, of course it was long. It kind of pyramid shaped. It had a real long pointed nose cone and flared out toward the back. It had two huge wings on it, and each one of them had like a nacelle at the end of it, which is where the car and the bubble, the space bubble and the motorcycle raised up into.
Yeah.
But when it had that final fin, it was really cool looking. Just a lot of fun, We all wanted to be those guys.
Yeah.
We really did.
I wanted to be Mark.
You wanted to be Mark? See, I wanted to be Jason. I thought Jason was the coolest.
No, I wanted to be Mark.
I wanted to be Jason because he had a race car and a gun. Matter of fact, I was playing G-Force one time, and the first episode, they go into a place and they cut this wire and rewire it up to open a door. I did that with my mom's sewing machine. I got in so much trouble. So much trouble. Ruined a pair of scissors.
I used to rewire shit all the time.
Yeah, I was able to fix it, and that sewing machine lasted another 20 years after that, so I guess it was all right. And they were like, "What were you doing?" I was like, "I was playing G-Force. I was rewiring the door." Well, don't play with electricity, son. So they would have them because Zark was new. When they would film them interacting with Zark, they would just put them on a screen. So Zark was never in the room with any of them.
Right.
Because again, he was.
They actually went into a room in at least one episode.
In one episode, did they really?
Yeah.
I need to go back and watch it. On our YouTube playlist, I have added, I want to say 10 or 15 episodes of Battle of the Planets just for our people to watch, especially the opening. So the opening, they hired the guy that did Challenge of the Super Friends, which is why those two songs sound so similar.
Right.
For a long time, we all thought it was the same song. It's not. Hoyt Curtin is the guy they got to do that sound, but they were like, "Oh, hey, we want something like Challenge of the Super Friends." He's like, "Oh, here, use this," and Yeah, it was almost exactly.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's playing through my head right now. So yeah, I every single episode opens with that. I didn't cut that out at all. So you guys really should enjoy that. Plus with that great voiceover. Oh my god, it was so good. It's so much fun. And you can go back and watch it now. It still kind of holds up, believe it or not. I mean, if you can forgive the 1970s costumes with the big giant bell bottoms.
Right.
Not their G-Force outfits. Their G-Force outfits were real streamlined, but when they were hanging out, they wore basically ringer t-shirts and bell bottoms.
Mm-hmm.
But that is about it for G-Force. Other than get out there and check it out. They had these great cosmic monsters like a Gojira that they would send down, and of course the Phoenix would have to defeat it by turning into the fiery Phoenix, and it's just amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, every episode.
Yeah, and really great artwork. The artwork is really, really good. Occasionally, the Phoenix will be the wrong color for like a scene, and then switch back. Most notably in the opening, the red nose cone turns blue and then turns back to red.
Yeah.
That's the one that bothers the most people. But I mean, honestly, it's just from one episode. It only did it the one time, but because they used it in the opening, it's kind of glaring.
Sure.
But yeah, some of the coloring, the drawings were great. Really, really top notch for 1972.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I absolutely love Bella Planets. I was like you. That was a must watch every afternoon.
Every afternoon after school.
Absolutely. Couldn't wait and then go play G-Force with the other kids on the street because we were all watching it.
Yes, everybody went home and watched it.
Yep.
Christina and I would come home. We would have a snack. We would watch G-Force, and then we would watch the Sid and Marty Krofft show that came on right after it.
Mm-hmm. Good times.
Good times.
Thank you for that trip down memory lane. Hopefully some people will go check that out. Check out on our page so you can see what we're talking about and go find the episodes. It was great. It was a great show.
Yeah. They're not really readily available except on YouTube, which is why I was able to get so many.
Yeah.
They're full episodes. So enjoy.
Awesome. With that, then I will take over on the murdery side of the house.
Murder.
For today, I got my information off All That's Interesting, Wikipedia, WFMZ News, Law and Crime, and Lehigh Valley Live. And this is the story of Princess Doe.
Princess Doe?
Princess Doe.
Okay.
So on the morning of July 15th, 1982, gravedigger George Keiss discovered a body in the rear of the Cedar Ridge Cemetery in Blairstown, New Jersey. The body was found lying on its back just over a steep bank that leads to a creek below, and the victim's face had been beaten beyond recognition with a yet-to-be-determined object. Due to the significant decomposition of the body, her eye color could not even be discerned.
Wow.
The body was clad in a red short-sleeved shirt. A peasant-style skirt was found lying on top of the victim's legs. No undergarments were found. But despite this, no conclusive evidence of sexual assault was found, but this was difficult to determine because, again, the degree of decay of the body. There was a golden cross necklace that was found tangled in the victim's hair, and 2 earrings were found in her left ear. Red nail polish was found on the right hand only, and she had no surgical scars, distinct birthmarks, or tattoos. But again, scars or marks on the head and face area were hard to determine due to the condition of the body. The front 2 teeth were slightly darker than the other teeth, and the victim's appendix and tonsils were intact. Forensics anthropologists determined that the victim was not pregnant and had never given birth and was most likely between the ages of 14 and 18 years old at the time of her death. Toxicology did not reveal any traces of drugs, but was not entirely conclusive because of the time elapsed between the death and discovery of the body. It's believed the body was discovered after 2 or 3 days or possibly even weeks due of exposure to the elements, but this was especially difficult to determine because of the hot and humid weather in the area at the time. Examination indicated that the girl had attempted to fight back or defend from her attacker as trauma to her hands and arms were observed. For many years, Princess Doe was thought to be Diane Janice Dye, a missing teenager from San Jose, California, who vanished on July 30th, 1979. This theory was propagated by several law enforcement officials in the state of New Jersey who went as far as to hold a press conference identifying Diane Dye as Princess Doe. However, Lieutenant Eric Krantz, the Princess Doe case's original lead investigator, maintained that Diane Dye was not a viable candidate for Princess Doe's identity. Krantz's feelings were shared by Diane's family and investigators in California, who were particularly incensed by the conduct of New Jersey law enforcement. In 2003, Princess Doe's DNA was compared with the DNA sample from Diane's mother, Patricia, and it was conclusively determined that the Princess Doe was not Diane Dye. In 1999, evidence came to light that Arthur and Donna Kinlaw may have been involved in Princess Doe's murder. Donna was arrested in California for attempting to commit welfare fraud by using the name Elena, which was traced to a Long Island native. When the police questioned her, she gave them details about the murder of a, quote, Linda, and her testimony put the Kinlaws behind bars. Donna gave details about 2 murders Arthur had committed of 2 other female victims who remain unidentified. After Arthur was faced with a death sentence, Donna told authorities that Kinlaw had killed another woman who was a sex worker earlier in 1982. She told police that she was with Arthur in the cemetery and witnessed him commit the murder. And another report states that Donna Kinlaw said that in July of 1982, her husband brought home a teenage girl, left home, and returned without her. He apparently disposed of her clothing and cleaned his vehicle, and afterwards he threatened his wife, claiming if she did not attend her job, he would take her life as he did to the girl he brought home. However, lack of corroboration meant that Arthur Kinlaw was not charged. Lieutenant Stephen Spears, who worked on the case as a member of the Warren County Prosecutor's Office, from which he's now retired, stated that Kinlaw claimed responsibility for her death, but I have no physical evidence to confirm that, and without the identity of Princess Doe, I have no way of connecting the dots, so to speak, putting her in a place where he could have been or would have been at the same time. Spears also reported that he doubted the confession because the Kinlaws could not provide a name for Princess Doe, even though they had claimed to be with her for a period of time. Despite the fact that he questions the credibility of their statements, Spears does not believe the victim was native to Long Island, New York. However, Donna Kinlaw was interviewed by a forensics artist who created a sketch of the girl he claimed to have met, which does resemble the most recent composite. Arthur Kinlaw does remain incarcerated for 2 counts of second-degree murder. After seeing images of the girl's clothing in a newspaper, a witness named Anne Marie Latimer reported to officials that she remembered seeing a girl wearing the same clothing as Princess Doe purchasing cigarettes on July 13th, 1982, just 2 days before her body was found. Latimer stated that she was shopping with her daughter at a supermarket across from the cemetery and observed and was able to describe the victim's unique clothing. The shirt and skirt themselves were traced to a manufacturer in the Midwestern United States, although the brand labels were missing. 3 people reported after viewing photos that they bought similar clothes at a Long Island store, which is now closed. It's unknown if the store was specifically located in Long Island or possibly in other locations. In 2012, composite of the victim also generated new tips as it resembled several missing girls from the county. Her body was re-exhumed in November 2020 using a grant, and she underwent DNA extraction for genetic genealogy. One theory was submitted that Princess Doe may have been a runaway and could have been an individual using false names while employed at a hotel in Ocean City, Maryland. In 2012, a sample of her hair and tooth were examined through isotope analysis and indicated that the victim was most likely born in the United States. The sample of her hair indicated that she had lived at least 7 to 10 months in the Midwestern or Northeastern United States. The tooth sample indicated she could possibly be from Arizona. And it's also believed that the girl spent a long period of time in Long Island, New York. DNA is fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, there you could go. Especially the isotope studies. Like, okay, we know that this person lived in this area for a certain amount of time because of the amount of isotopes in their tooth.
I know. Just fascinating.
Because that's what's in the water in this area.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Wild stuff.
Brilliant.
Technology is just wild.
Yeah.
After extensive print media coverage in 1982, Lieutenant Eric Krantz, who again was the original lead investigator from the Blairstown Police Department, was contacted by HBO regarding the Princess Doe case and asked if the channel could chronicle the case in an upcoming documentary entitled Missing. Krantz agreed, and the segment was filmed over the course of several weeks, and Krantz was shown following leads as they came in. The documentary was notable for containing actual footage of the recovery of Princess Doe's body, along with the footage shot by HBO of Princess Doe's 1983 funeral. Lieutenant Krantz, now retired, coined the name Princess Doe early in the investigation and also managed to get the case covered extensively in the media. He said, quote, "I got tired of writing the name Jane Doe," which he said in a profile from the time. "There's a million Jane Does. They're all in the cemetery, and they all have unmarked graves. I just wanted to give her some personality, some identity. That's why I named her Princess Doe." The case was also used as the impetus for recording unidentified crime victims in the NCIC database at the national level, and Princess Doe became the first such case entered by the FBI director. The case was featured on America's Most Wanted in 2012 in hopes to generate new information in the case. The same year, the most recent reconstruction was broadcast on CNN. Princess Doe was buried on January 22nd, 1983, after she had remained unidentified for over 5 months. Donated funds were used to pay for the victim's coffin and headstone, and the headstone was engraved with the text, "Princess Doe, missing from home, dead among strangers, remembered by all."
Oh, that's sweet.
On July 15, 2012, a memorial service was held for the 30th anniversary of Princess Doe's body being discovered at the top of the ravine where her remains were found. Over 100 citizens attended, as well as several reporters and cameras. The victim's clothing, as well as her reconstructions, were displayed for public viewing. And on October 12, 2014, Princess Doe was honored at a missing persons rally in the area. In May of 2021, investigators were notified by the NCMEC, which is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, who were corroborating with Estrella Forensics about obtaining DNA markers from degraded samples of Princess Doe's body using a grant. On June 18, 2021, investigators received the news that Estrella Forensics agreed to extract DNA and construct a DNA profile. On February 10, 2022, Estrella Forensics relayed to investigators that the creation of a DNA file was successful. The results were sent to the NCMEC's consulting genealogist from Innovative Forensics Investigations. The managing officer was Jennifer Moore, who agreed to perform unlimited genealogy free of charge. That's awesome.
Yes.
Because it is an expensive test.
Yes.
On February 22nd, 2022, Innovative Forensics announced to investigators that they found a candidate for Princess Doe. Investigators went to West Babylon, New York, where they met Robert Olenek Jr., who they suspected was Princess Doe's brother. They also connected a DNA sample to build a mitochondrial DNA profile. The Union County Prosecutor's Office Forensics Laboratory assisted by creating an STR DNA profile through the victim's sister's DNA sample. And Mitotyping DNA Technology sent the results to the Union County Prosecutor's Office Forensics Laboratory, who then sent both the mitochondrial DNA and STR DNA profiles to the University of North Texas for human identification. Now, on April 29, 2022, the center formally identified Princess Doe as Dawn Olenek. She was formally announced on July 15, 2022, which was the 40th anniversary of her discovery. Prior to her disappearance, Olenek lived with her mother and sister in the city of Bohemia on Long Island after her parents divorced. Robert said that when she left home around June 24, 1982, at their mother's request, and she was never seen or heard from again. Arthur Kinlaw has now been charged with 1 count of homicide as a result of the subsequent investigation, witness statements, and his confession of Olenek's murder. He'd already, of course, been locked up in New York State Prison for the 2 counts of second-degree murder from the 2000 conviction. The county prosecutor, James Pfeiffer, said Kinlaw wrote multiple letters to the prosecutor's office starting in 2005 and admitted in person that he killed Dawn Olenek. but the prosecutor said they didn't have enough evidence, information and evidence to charge Kinlaw until now. The sticking point was that investigators could not identify Princess, so they could not corroborate his statement. It's believed that Don refused his demands to go into prostitution and was driven to New Jersey. They both ended up in Blairstown, where Kinlaw murdered her in the Cedar Ridge Cemetery. Neither Don Olnick or Kinlaw had any connection with the town. Again, Kinlaw still remains imprisoned at the Sullivan Correctional Facility in Fallsburg, New York to this day, and investigators are now looking to piece together Don Olnick's movements in the time leading up to her death. For over 40 years, the people of Blairstown have been protective of Princess Doe, and now her family is deciding whether or not she should stay in New Jersey or come home to New York. A cousin of Olenek spoke at a conference thanking investigators in the community for not giving up on the case. He said that the identification and charges have opened up a lot of wounds, and the family wishes to remain private. And he said, we miss her dearly. But in any case, investigators are relieved that Princess Doe has finally been identified. Eric Krantz, who again coined the Princess Doe nickname, has expressed his relief to Lehigh Valley Live. And he said, quote, "It's very nice to know she has a name." And that is the story of Princess Doe Don Olenek.
Thank you very much for that.
You bet.
I'm glad that they got some closure on that.
Yes. DNA is just fascinating. It's fascinating what we've been able to accomplish. And there's a lot of cases that are being solved because of it.
Yeah. Well, and you think about it, we've really only had really, really good DNA stuff for the last 10, 15 years.
That's about right. We may be approaching 20 now.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was just like the early 2000s. Like they could tell, they could tell basic stuff, but by the early 2000s, when they really got the sequence down, it's like, oh yeah, we could tell where they lived, where they grew up, who they're related to.
Yep. Yep. Which is that's one of the reasons I'm surprised that they still haven't been able to solve that the Setagaya murder case.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really shocked that they haven't been able to do that, because they had so much that was left behind.
Yeah.
Just absolutely wild. So yeah, that's it. That's it for my story for this week, and that's the end of our show for this week.
Thanks, sir.
As always, you can find more information about the stuff we talk about on nerderymurdery.com, where you can find the links to everything that we discuss, plus pictures and sometimes videos as well.
Mm-hmm.
You can find the link to our merchandise page, where if you wish to show off your fandom for Nerdery Murdery, please do consider going there. It helps us as well as our Patreon, which you can find there. If you wish to become a patron and help donate to the show, both the merchandise and the patrons do help us with the costs that are involved. As they say on Two Geeks and a Microphone, it does not help with the cost of our Lamborghinis.
Yes, we do not have Lamborghinis.
No.
Please and thank you.
No, I have a Kia. So, but I love my car.
Yes.
Yeah, and make sure to check out Zig stuff on TikTok and YouTube. He puts fun videos out there as well, pretty much constantly. So I appreciate that.
Yes. I put out a TikTok every day, sir.
Thanks for all the work you do on that. It's great stuff. I love seeing that in my Facebook feed.
Thanks, sir.
Facebook for all of us older people. Young people aren't using Facebook much anymore.
No. It's mostly TikTok, Instagram, stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I put it on that too, but
yeah,
it's easier to make it on TikTok and move it to other places.
Right. All right, awesome. So thanks for joining us again this week, and we really appreciate you sticking with us, especially through the hiatus, back for our second episode. And we'll see everybody next week. And with that,
I have been Zig with your nerdery.
And I'm Geoffrey with your murdery.
Cue the music.